Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and today we're going to be speaking about Arbaal the Undefeated, the Khorne rework, and a bunch of new stuff coming in Omens of Destruction and patch 6.0. So, there's going to be a lot of videos coming out today, as you can imagine. There's going to be a lot of streams happening too, so if you want to pop down after the video to twitch.tv/The Great Book of Grudges, I'll be live for like 12 hours every single day until the release of this DLC. But let's not waste any more time, shall we? We've got Arbaal the Undefeated as your FLC Legendary Lord, and you can see that the starting army is pretty damn good. You start off with a bunch of Chaos Warriors, some Flesh Hounds, the Skull Crushers, and a Blood Throne too. When it comes to the faction effects, we have the following. Has access to the Challenges of Khorne, allowing Arbaal to seek out difficult battles to increase Khorne's favor and gain various rewards. Upkeep minus 10% for non-demonic units, so if you want to focus around mortals in a very similar way to Tamacon, doing the same with the Nurgle troops, yep, here you go. Construction cost minus 50% for mortal, military, and defense buildings faction-wide, and construction time, minus 50% for mortal, military buildings and defense buildings faction-wide. When it comes to the Lord effects, you've got global recruitment duration minus 1 turn for all units in Lord's army, weapon strength plus 10% for non-demonic units in Lord's army, passive ability Hellblade for Chaos Warriors, Chosen, Chaos Knights, and Skull Crushers of Khorne in Lord's army, and finally the ability Gaze of Khorne. So yeah, you're going to be fighting a lot, and not only that, but your generic Chaos Warriors are going to be hitting as hard as Bloodletters. So interestingly enough, you're going to be starting in the Skull Road, so right below Archaon. You're also going to be smack in the middle of Archaon, Boris, and, well, pretty much the Chaos Dwarfs in general, because they'll be pushing up. It's a very interesting campaign because you don't have to stay here. We'll be talking about that mechanic in just a second, but it will allow you to just go somewhere else in Empire build in another location if you so wish. You do have a lot of variety. It's a very odd one because there has been map changes, as you are aware at this point. There was a map change in Cafe, but apparently that was for nothing. Your first enemies are going to be ogres, and don't you mind me just colonizing those ruins. Remember, this is a showcase video, so it's not a let's play. So there's a few things that I do different just to make sure that things go smoothly, just so I can show you everything possible. So Arbaal gets his mount at rank 10, and you will notice a new automatic skill known as Blood God's Vigor. You're going to be seeing that in a lot of characters, even some generic ones too. It's just going to make sure that you keep moving a little bit faster. But alongside that, you do have access to a unique skill line. This one's going to focus mostly on just making you a lot killier and being able to summon in some Chaos Spawn, because that's obviously what Arbaal does best. You've got a lot of bonuses towards just literally getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Don't you worry, unlike in early battles, he just gets a lot more powerful, especially when he gets his mount up and running, and you'll be able to boost up your Chaos Warriors, your Mortals, much better with Devastating Flanker for your Knights and your Skull Crushers, Expert Charge Defense for your, well, all your non-demonic infantry troops, plus also reducing their upkeep dramatically. And at the end of it, if you decide, yeah, you know, let's make them even more, you can get your Mortal units, as long as they've hit rank 7 or above, they'll be able to get Unbreakable. Arbaal also gets Unbreakable, and he starts causing terror too. It's pretty damn tasty. He is going to be that Chaos Warrior of Khorne campaign that you've been wanting for a while, without all the busy work that you need to do with Valkyria. Remember that you're not forced to just use Mortals. Like Tamacon, you can use both, but you are heavily incentivized to keep pushing as many Mortals as possible and just getting a full Legion out there. Arbaal has access to one item, which is the Destroyer of Khorne. You will get a quest battle for that at rank 15. It's pretty decent, but most of your main damage is going to be coming from your skills. It's not the best item out there, but it's not the worst either. Now, before we continue with his unique faction mechanics, there is a hidden mechanic which, well, it's not very hidden. If you end up losing with Arbaal the Undefeated, you will then get a pop-up, and that will give you the choice. The Wrath of Khorne, which gives you Arbaal the Defeated, minus 30 with diplomatic relations with Khornate factions, which isn't too much of a worry, don't worry about that. Or you can just end your campaign. Put your head down in shame and you're done. There's not a lot of Khornate factions, so don't you worry about that. It's just there for flavor, obviously. And yeah, this doesn't matter if you retreat, that won't pop up. It's only when you get properly defeated. No Chaos Spawn mechanic. It's a bit of a shame. I would have loved to see a unique model for that, but hey, you know, these things happen. And yeah, these are the prices when it comes to your Khorne Warriors very early on with Arbaal because of the reductions. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. You're going to be running around with even some Chaos Warriors quite early because you can justify it without too much of an issue. We do have a brand new resource here known as Khorne's Favor, and you get this in your most generic sense, right? You're a Khorne faction, you'll be getting these resources by getting into combat. So missions, challenges, and battles. This is a really cool system because it's just going to integrate into your generic campaign. And this resource is used in the challenges of Khorne. So this is going to be very similar to that of Oxyotl, but a little bit more. You will have worthy battles, perfect battles, and ultimate battles. You'll be able to teleport to them if you have enough favor, so you'll want to rack this up and have a stockpile of it. But as you can also see, there are boons there too, which also has some extra challenges to that. The battles themselves will vary, and they will refresh as time progresses. So if you'll see one with Azazel, if Azazel ends up dying, well, that one will then be refreshed with something else, and it will provide you different challenges. They will get stronger. If they're legendary lords, they will get stronger and stronger and stronger. So, for example, I dealt with Solistra Diathen in my own personal campaign, and she had been building up. She ended up having a few Necrofex Colossus. That stuff is cool, because it means that you're not going to be dealing with a weaker thing. Now, there are certain harder challenges, which means that they're going to be stronger, they're going to have better stats, and the idea here is to provide you with the proper challenges. You'll be able to get some really good bonuses, some good cash coming in, and if you want to make it even more interesting to be able to get more favor of Khorne, you can use boons, which means that you can provide yourself with a debuff, for example, make all your troops very tired. But with that, you'll end up getting a lot more Khorne's favor, and that is something that you can end up getting some other bonuses with too, like getting Khorne's Wrath, or just more campaign movement range. It's going to affect quite a lot of your general gameplay, even reducing the upkeep of all your armies, which is super cool. This is something that you can stockpile. You don't have to do from the very beginning. Challenges can be quite difficult depending on your level of play, but the idea here is you're going to be traveling around. This is also the system where you can decide, okay, I'm going to teleport to a random character that's shown up in Lustria, and then you can build up over there. Or if you want to go down to the Southern Chaos Waste, anywhere that you want, in case that you might just want to start a different area or start a different invasion. This will be with Arbaal, by the way, so you're going to have to keep using your legendary lord for this. But this also means that you're going to be able to level up Arbaal stupidly quickly if you just keep sending him to other locations. Just make sure that if you're deciding to carry on empire building, which you can teleport back to your capital, don't worry about that, but make sure you have another army defending just in case, because while you're prancing around somewhere else, someone else might come in and try and take your settlements. The battles aren't too difficult, but you can easily screw yourself over with really bad tiredness or whatever. Some of these battles can get quite tough if you're not paying too much attention. I know a lot of people are curious about the campaign objectives, so yeah, they're pretty simple. It's literally just complete challenges, occupy, loot, raise or sack, and you'll get the chainsword. Not the most exciting, but at least you're getting the chainsword, which is really, really powerful. In general, it's going back to more of a Warhammer 2 styling with this DLC, where yep, it's going to be focusing around the sandbox and allowing you with a lot of freedom. I think that's a good thing with Arbaal because, yeah, you've got your challenges, you can just do whatever the hell you want. Alright, now we can talk about the legendary heroes, and the first one is going to be Scyla Anfingrimm, as Khorne has two in Omens of Destruction. But once you get to rank 12 with any of your characters, a quest will pop up which will require you to go raiding for 800 treasury. This might take a while if you're not moving a lot like I am here. The description is very simple. Scyla Anfingrimm was once the bane of the coastlands from frozen Norska to faraway Cathay, a bloodthirsty raider and champion of his tribe. Scyla's name was synonymous with victory and pillage, evoking fear in the coastal cities all across the world. Those who raided alongside him saw the fire of a born leader in his eyes. After you've done your raiding, you'll get another quest. Kill 1,500 enemies in battle, and that will then get you Scyla. No quest battle is needed for him. We have a little bit of a description. In time, Khorne came to notice Scyla's feats. First, gifting him with massive brute strength and hulking ape-like arms. Grateful for his blessing, Scyla launched even greater raids, resulting in destruction beyond compare. Thus, Khorne gifted him with a serpentine tail, ending in a snapping maw. With more merciless slaughter came the Blood God's final gift, the mind of a ravenous beast. Scyla's transformation into a mindless chaos spawn would be complete soon after. Yet Carnage recognizes Carnage, I say that as my cat is trying to stab me with his nails. To match such desire to kill and maim in the name of Khorne will surely bring the beast forth so that he may continue to garner his master's favor through Carnage. And just like that, Scyla spawns. He's got the brass collar as an item, which will make your army even more resistant to spells and more resistance to missile attacks. So overall, you're going to want this if you're going to be dealing with elves or maybe the Vampire Coast for different battles. You also got access to a unique trait, which is going to drastically reduce the upkeep of Minotaurs of Khorne, Spawn of Khorne, and finally the Blood Beast. This is going to come quite in handy for you if you're one that likes a monster-heavy army. I've already been playing around with that, and the spawn army with Blood Beast is really kind of fun. A unique skill line also comes into play, which will be available to you as from rank 12, the first focusing around immune to contact effects and extra physical resistance. There's one which is there for like hero actions, but I doubt many people are going to use it because you're going to want him in armies. Then it's just beef up, right? More weapon strength, more bonus versus infantry, general more augments. This is a character that kills, and he kills really, really well. He's going to reduce enemy leadership. He's also going to give some pretty nice attributes to the Minotaurs, Spawn, and Blood Beast, which is Glorious Charge, all units in that army, and extra charge bonus too. So again, monster heavy armies, very good here. You'll also at the end be able to pick up a regeneration. So even more terrifying is a spawn that can regenerate and still do heavy loads of damage. I think out of all the heroes for Khorne right now, Scyla might be my favorite, but Skarr is very close. Skarr is going to be unlocked in a very different way to others. You'll have to build up a building, which is the one that allows you to recruit Skarr troops. This will be the same thing, well, just different building, but same function with Valkyria. And your quest will be just recruit one unit of Skull Reapers or Wrathmongers. There's a little bit of lore here too. Skull Reapers form the mortal backbone of Khorne's legions, the elite among them being the Wrathmongers. Once the Skull Reaper begins to walk the path of a Wrathmonger, there is no going back. Aspirants are subjected to a punishing regime of conditioning and worship as the Khornate demigods known as Bloodspeakers goad the aspirants to battle one another night and day, never allowing them to rest for long. Now, just because it says recruit one doesn't mean that you're going to need one. You're going to have to actually recruit a few more, because the next quest is going to require you to kill 1,000 enemies in battle with Skull Reaper or Wrathmonger units. But you know, if you've got any Skaven enemies nearby, maybe go and beeline for them. But yeah, there's a little bit of lore here too. The legend of Skarr Bloodwrath was born even before he became one of Khorne's most favoured, for he began killing in the Blood God's name from the moment he was strong enough to heft an axe. For decades he slew thousands, mortals and demons both, as the Chaos Waste rang out with his deafening war cries. Though unseemingly unstoppable, Skarr was eventually slain, but then his master breathed fresh life into the champion. Despite his mortal form having burned away to nothing, Skarr Bloodwrath was reborn from the pooled blood of his slain enemies. Although he has been killed many times since then, Khorne always brings his champion back to life. In return, Skarr reaps such a tally of skulls that none can keep count. The character does obviously have his own unique weapons, which are quite good. Very good missile block chance there, especially since, you know, you're going to be running into battle with flails. I really like the character as it stands, and it just gets a lot better when you start looking towards your unique traits, which gives you blood tally. It also gives you bloodborne and physical resistance increasing for your Skull Reapers and your Wrathmongers in your hero's army. So you're going to be running a Skarr army more or less, and that's going to be expected, especially since Skarr is the leader of the Skarr. It's a pretty good trait overall, and it then gets further enhanced with his skills. So his unique skill line unlocks at rank 12, which increases your campaign movement range for your selected army, also their speed, so you can make them pretty damn fast, and as it improves, you're just going to get more powerful extra physical resistance, wound recovery time, so he basically comes back every turn if he dies, which can happen. Increased battle healing cap 2, more skulls, that type of stuff is always going to be useful. Skulls is a main resource now. Just stronger and stronger and stronger until you get Leader of the Skarr, which increases your armor for your Marauders of Khorne, Skull Reapers, Wrathmongers, gives them rage also, and reduces their upkeep quite dramatically by 15%. So if you can pair that with then all the other skills that you can get to reduce the cost of stuff, yeah, you're going to be a terror on the battlefield. Before we talk about the rework, we are going to talk about the Bloodspeaker very quickly, because this is your new generic Lord option, and you can use these with Valk here too, which is kind of cool. So these are your warrior priests, and they've got unique skill lines. In fact, a lot of stuff has unique skill lines now. And yeah, you can boost up by reducing the upkeep of Skull Reapers and Wrathmongers. Keep in mind that these are obviously the demigods of the Scaramore. Increase your campaign movement range, extra income post-battle loot, well, more just in general, like being able to cause fear. You do have a War Shrine, you do have a Steed. Unfortunately, no Juggernaut, but all in all, you can make your armies, if you're going to be using Bloodspeaker Lords, quite quick to move around, which you're kind of wanting anyway, because with Khorne, the faster you get to your enemy, the faster you'll be able to rip them a new asshole, right? And I think that's quite cool. Overall, all their abilities unlocked over there, and then you've got the generic stuff, which is obviously the red skill line, the normal fighting skill line too. It all synergizes quite well. I would say that I have been using these more lately, maybe because they're new, but I could see myself doing Valkyria campaigns and having an equal amount of Chaos Lords of Khorne alongside Bloodspeakers. They can't become Demon Princes though, keep that in mind, which is kind of odd, but I guess makes sense because they're there to just keep making sure that the Scaramore keep becoming Wrathmongers. Okay, we're going to talk about the Skull Throne and just in general the rework. I have to zoom in here because I use a 4K monitor and there's unfortunately a bug here that should hopefully be fixed for launch. It's just too small for 4K monitors. Every other faction and mechanic is fine though, like literally, even for the Orcs and the Ogres and stuff. But yeah. So, it's been changed. You're going to be using skulls to keep getting a bunch of new effects. There is a cooldown for this, but it's not so bad. So you're going to be able to kind of just experiment with different stuff. As you start using the Skull Throne, then you'll start unlocking in different tiers. So to get to tier 2, you'll need to spend 5,000 skulls. Skulls are super easy to pick up right now, so I wouldn't worry whatsoever about how many skulls you're going to need for like the final thing, which is like 40,000 skulls spent. You'll get there so quickly, it won't really matter. It's a really good take on a old mechanic. Well, it's not even old, it's a new mechanic, but they've decided to rework it to make it better for everyone else, and I actually appreciate this quite heavily because it pretty much just finishes Khorne. They are in a really good spot right now thanks to the rework. Bloodletting doesn't feel like a kick in the balls anymore. Yes, there is a negative, but that's only if you just haven't been active whatsoever with any of your forces, and you'll just get positives from there, more corruption being spent, and a lot more bonuses coming in with very heavy upkeep reductions if you get to the top. This is pretty damn good because if you're going to be playing an aggressive campaign, and if you're playing Khorne, I mean, you're going to be playing aggressively anyway, you're going to be in a really good spot. To the point that with Arbaal in one of my personal campaigns, yeah, Chaos Warriors were just no upkeep whatsoever, which was fantastic, because I was just fielding a stupid amount of them. Manifestations, as you are aware, have been changed. They provide some better bonuses and just feel a lot better too. They had a pretty good rework when it came to Thrones of Decay, and this is just kind of enhancing them just to finish off the Khorne manifestations. You're going to want to use these. You're going to remember to use these more. Keep in mind that Arbaal, as a mortal, has no access to manifestations. This will only be available for Skulltaker and Skarbrand. This is the same situation with Tamokan having no manifestations, even though he's a Nurgle character. Technology for Khorne has dramatically changed in the best way possible. So now you've got two sections, armaments and pillars. Pillars are going to work in combat, and this is quite cool, because you only get to unlock them as you start progressing through them by getting more battles done. So 5 battles, 10 battles, all the way up to 25 battles. Alongside that, you'll need to progress through it and sometimes spend some skulls. But don't worry, it's not like you need to do one pillar and then 25 more battles for the next pillar. All the battles will work for all the pillars. So you'll be able to unlock these naturally as you play through your campaign. These are going to allow you to get some infrastructure, some extra cash coming in from recruitment, upkeep reductions, as obviously here. You'll be able to work on your blood hosts because there are pillars dedicated directly for your blood hosts. These are going to focus very heavily on your side stuff for Khorne. So infrastructure, blood hosts, and all that type of stuff. The idea here is you're going to come down through this area, but you're also going to work on your armament section. If you want better heroes, you're going to want to focus on, like, I believe, the Pillar of Rage. If you want some actual diplomacy, which you know, why would you as Khorne? You'll go through the Pillar of Honor. There is so much stuff here, and I'm just going over them. You can stop whenever you want, just if you want to read over it. The idea here is just to make sure that you've actually been able to see as much as possible, because even though we've got 6 pillars here, each of them with 6 different technologies, there is another section. So we have to start talking about the armaments too. Armaments are going to focus on your troops. Yeah, surprise, surprise, right? But different sections for different things. For example, the bottom left-hand corner is going to focus on your infantry troopers, so your demons and your warriors mixed up, and there's going to be a few different bonuses specifically to dual weapon units, for example. Upper there is going to focus on cavalry on the upper left, then mostly monsters and war machine stuff on the right-hand side. There are a lot of different technologies. Again, taking use of the new system that was introduced with the Chaos Dwarfs, something that I feel a lot of factions could benefit very heavily from, because it makes it a lot cleaner, better on the eyes, and that means that players won't get overwhelmed. Technology feels a lot better now. If you're going to focus a lot on warfare, you're going to be spending a lot of time on armaments. There's only a very few amounts of perks here that you need to spend skulls on, and yeah, skulls are going to be so easy to pick up, you're not going to have too much of an issue. If you compare it to the tech tree that was available prior to this update, yeah, this is so much better. I love the fact that Creative Assembly are going into the Game Free races, still seeing that stuff can be improved, especially with this newfound confidence that they've had ever since Thrones of Decay came out. It's nice to see, because we're seeing a lot more work being pushed out and in much greater detail. The Khorne rework, Khorne was, in my idea, fine, right, as it stands now in live, but 6.0 has made Khorne a lot better as a faction overall, and I think a lot of players are going to really appreciate it. Construction has changed for Khorne now in one of the most unique ways possible. So, as you are aware, you do have access to 2 main building slots for your major and minor settlements. Now, one of them is obviously focused on demons, and the other one's focused on mortals. If you pick up the demon building, well, that locks up your mortal building, so you won't be able to build any mortal buildings there. It's going to be a while to get used to it, but it does mean that you specialize all your settlements now. So with Skarbrand, if you want to focus only on demons, yeah, you can completely ignore the mortal buildings, and you're much better for that too, because you can specialize. I like the idea of it. It's very different, and I want to see more of these specializations coming in, that's for sure. It does also mean that you're not forced, because I feel like a lot of players feel like they're forced to get all the military buildings in if possible. Now it's get a few in, then get some infrastructure buildings that might give you some bonuses, because there are some infrastructure buildings which will give you bonuses faction-wide. Stuff like raiding for all armies, income from post-battle loot, income from sacking settlements and looting settlements for all characters. Keep in mind that that's your main way of getting cash. Getting into warfare is your main income. You're going to get some income from your normal military buildings, but they're not going to provide you with that much. It's not going to be the one that's going to keep you afloat. So what I would say is Creative Assembly have kind of incentivized you to actually focus on some infrastructure buildings here. And I kind of like the idea of this. So far, Khorne is very much just warfare, warfare, and warfare. And that's what's expected from the, well, warfare faction. Alright, we're almost done, but we do have to talk about skill lines, because the generic lords and heroes have gotten some new skills, make them a little bit better. You've got some stuff that was already there, like for example with the Cultist of Khorne, but now you also get some bonuses to specialize them a little bit more. So, with the Cultist of Khorne, for example, you can now decide to make it more focused around mortals, improving the armor capacity of Marauders, Skull Reapers, Wrathmongers, giving them Rage also, which is kind of cool for the Marauder Horsemen. The idea here is you can use that and then just focus more on mortals there. You don't have to. You've got some other choices, as you can see on screen. So getting them Killing Blow and all that different type of stuff. But it's going to be noticeable with all these different characters. We've got it there with, say for example, the Blood Reaper too. A little bit more, just a few skills to kind of fill them out. Nothing too special, to be honest. I don't think the Blood Reaper has some pretty big ones, but then again, it's already had these good buffs with the Locust stuff anyway. A few minor skill changes for the Exalted Hero of Khorne. They're always going to be very good anyway. I mean, they do really big damage. You can have them there up front without too much of a problem. Yeah, I mean, it's a nice update for them. Overall, I don't think anything changes. The fact that you can have them on a Juggernaut anyway makes them really, really strong. I think that updating these skill points is going to make a big benefit for them anyway. In general, all the Khorne characters now feel kind of feature complete, which I think is quite important here. And you're going to notice it with your Lord options too. So you've got a few more skill changes with your Chaos Lord of Khorne. It's a bit better off for the Herald, so now you've got more reason to use them. Creative Assembly are really pushing for people to be able to start using demons more, because with Khorne, it was very obvious that people weren't recruiting demons. They were focusing more on the mortals, thanks to the Champions of Chaos DLC. So now you've got a little bit more of a push for that. But yeah, overall, like, Heralds aren't too bad. Heralds aren't too bad. You can boost up your demons really nicely, and there's a reason for you to just keep them as Heralds if you so wish. So you're not forced to take them as Exalted Bloodletters anymore. However, yeah, the Exalted Bloodletters have also been improved ever so slightly with some more skills that you'll be able to play around with, and you're locked from one or the other. But this is kind of like the system that I talked about in a few videos before, where we've got different types of bloodletters, the Incessant Rage and so on. These were the special ones during the end times. So yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. More customability is going to make it much better for you there. You can also get barrier for your demons. I know it sounds weird to say barrier for an Exalted Bloodthirster, but yeah, you can get up to 500, which is pretty damn good. Makes them a little bit more protected, and I mean, in general, it's always really, really good. If you've been able to play around with the Demon Prince, you'll know how that kind of works out. But overall, I think that the Exalted Bloodthirster does become a more viable character too. So you've got now a bunch of different Lord options to play around with, which is always great. More options are always the best way to go. Yeah, so that was a long one. Today was, there's been a lot of long videos coming out. But I do feel like the Khorne rework is very, very cool. I also think that the Arbaal the Undefeated is a very good character. Very, very good character. Very different to what most people think he was going to play. I wasn't really expecting this Oxyotl kind of rehash mechanic, but it does work better than I expected. When I first saw it, when they showed it to us, I was like, this isn't great. But when you start playing with it, then you start kind of warming up to it. It's like, okay, this starts making sense. He's going around trying to fight whatever possible. Overall, I think that this is a really, really good FLC Legendary Lord. Since that's not part of the DLC, I can actually say that, so it's no problem there. Same thing as the rework, because the rework is attached to Update 6.0, so you're not going to be paying for that. You're going to get that regardless if you buy the Omens of Destruction DLC or not. Now, at the time of recording this video, I haven't used that many Exalted Bloodthirsters just yet. I'll be very honest with you there, but I am, as soon as this video is done, going to fire up a Skarr campaign, because I do want to do a video on him, and I want to see how the Exalted Bloodthirsters really do some damage now. Yeah, I mean, I always kind of liked Khorne. I didn't like them when they were first revealed for Warhammer 3, and then I really got into them. It's a faction that I can switch my brain off, and I think that's what a lot of people are going to be able to do with 6.0 too. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Start a bit of discussion. I am live on twitch.tv/thegreatbook of If you want to pop by, I think we'll be doing an Arbaal campaign today. There's going to be a lot of stuff going around. Pop by, say hi. If not, there's going to be more videos coming out. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. See ya.